Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today we are going to be checking out how I did the Zephyrim Sisters bases using these models that really should have gotten a base ages ago. So I hope you enjoy. Before we started though, I want to make certain to thank the patrons and YouTube members that support the channel. I very much appreciate all the financial support that you've been giving that keeps this channel going, keeps me on the road to continuing new videos every week. And I again want to thank you for that. If you want to join in and help this channel, feel free to check out the description below for the ways that you could do that. So first things first, I took the temple bits from Gamer's Grass. They have a variety of resin bits to add to your bases, and I cut them down to sizes more usable on the smaller bases my sisters are on, and then taped them to a stick with double-sided tape because to date this is simply the easiest way to prime them yet, and I primed them with Chaos Black Spray. Then, since I'm testing out the Army Painter's new Fanatic paint range, which I have thus far found no fault with at all, I dry brushed oak brown onto the array of temple bits, and this is just, a mid-brown, just to add some quick age and depth of color to the stones. Then, without waiting for the brown to dry nor clean out my brush, I dry brushed on ash gray, which is a pale gray color, and still not cleaning my brush, I then dry brushed with matte white, which just turned into a paler gray since it mixed with the ash gray still on my brush. Now that the age was on my stones, I then stippled more than dry brushed on a darker mid-gray called deep gray to cover most of the stone besides the crevices and the edges, and then finished off the look with another dry brush of ash gray, again not cleaning out my brush between colors. I wasn't sure yet whether I wanted to do more highlighting once these pieces were on the sisters' bases, but this was as far as I wanted to go at this point. Now, to attach these bits to the bases, I used Diorama Effects Earth Texture from Vallejo. I had an older bottle of it that was slowly drying out, so I gave that a go first, and this consistency of texture paint could be used. As you can see, it has the consistency of cookie dough. Certainly viable to use in general, but since I wanted to apply the temple bits, it'd be simpler to use something with more fluid texture like that of Greek yogurt instead of cookie dough, which was this newer bottle of the same diorama effects. It's just new and fresh. I'm using an old sculpting tool here, but anything with a thin tip that comes to a point, not a sharp point, mind, anything like that would do. You'll want to complete a base 1 or 2 at a time if you're adding bits and tufts to it. Otherwise, your texture paint may dry out too soon, making it more difficult for you. It all depends on your speed and decisiveness. I say this because I definitely deliberated on the placement of my temple bits longer than I needed to. Yep. After you have the bits placed as you like, you can now add the tufts. Now, if someone ever tells you that tufts are silly on bases because the tufts are round, in the case of the Army Painter's tufts, I'd like to tell them 2 things. 1, Gamer's Grass tufts are not round, but more importantly, you can change the shape of the tufts with ease if you wanted to. So I like to cut my tufts into thin slices for this project because I can attach them around the stone tiles as if the floor has grown up around the stonework over time. I also like to use at least 2 similar but different colors. These are light green 6mm grass tufts from Gamer's Grass and dry green 6mm grass tufts from Gamer's Grass to give some variety to the color, as well as dry green 2mm here and there to give some change in grass height. Gamer's Grass have recently just come out with a whole bunch of new 2mm grass tufts, so I absolutely had to try them there. And for Celestine and Gemini, I also use pink and white flowers. I generally use the dry green towards the center of the base, where I imagined more shadow to be, and I use the light green more around the edges, where more sunlight would hit. The wet texture paint acts as a glue for these tufts and the temple bits, and after I have the way I want them, I'll leave them to dry completely. After they are dry, I use the new strong tone from the Army Painter's Fanatic range, a dark brown wash that will darken the earth as well as combine these different elements into one a little better. Particularly the tiles, which I like to apply a little to and use my sophisticated tool of a fingertip to brush excess off again. You can also use a brush or a Q-tip for this, but this was way faster if you have small fingers, I suppose. After applying the strong tone, I let that all dry, and then as a final step, I painted each of the rims of the bases with just the Army Painter's matte black from the Fanatic range, and then I took a pair of trimming scissors and snipped the tufts down around the edges and here and there around the base to give an even further varied, hopefully more natural height to the grass. This little trick works with any color texture paint and any color tufts, and it immediately makes your model look more complete and realistic. I like to do this basing step generally when I'm about 50 to 75% done my miniature, so that I know where to highlight and shadow to give the mini an overall better look. I hope you like this and might want to do the same. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make certain to like and subscribe if you did. Make certain to comment below if you had any questions about anything whatsoever. And I will see you in the next video. Bye! Alright, and if any of you were going, whoa, 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 how did you get the Seraphim fly bases done? Well, I also did a video on that, and that is in the description below.